up now. This thing is recording. Welcome. And who are you?
My name is Maggie Barton.
Welcome, Maggie.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Do you have a middle name?
I do. It's Lynette.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That doesn't seem too far-fetched. I've heard a few that were like, oh, really? That's your... I see why you don't go by that.
Well, my real name is Marjorie, and Maggie's just kind of a nickname.
Marjorie?
Marjorie. Yeah.
Marjorie. Have you ever gone by Marjorie?
No. It's an old name. I was named after my mom's aunt, so my great aunt.
Okay.
When I was born, my grandma decided already that it was going to be Maggie and not Marge,
she was like, yeah.
or Margie or Marge. So that's how I got Maggie.
Yeah, I think, also Marge would be a little bit old school as well.
Yeah.
To balance things out, my real name is Herbert. So
okay.
Also, right, just to level the playing field. How did you get started riding? As close as how did you get started doing the riding you do today?
The racing that I do today, right?
The racing, right? All the stuff. Like, we'll start with let's find a starting point. When did you get your first road bike?
I got my first road bike around, I want to say like 2010 or so.
Okay.
I had this crazy idea that I was gonna do the MS bike ride, the charity bike ride.
Okay.
Which back then it was one day to Williamsburg, 75 miles, and stay the night, and then ride back the next day, 75 miles. 150,
yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, that sounds like something that I can do, and I talked a friend of mine into getting a road bike as well, and we did a little bit of training for that, and that's how it all started.
Okay. 2010, you decided like a road bike, drop bars. Okay.
Yeah.
Had you been doing any kind of like casually biking around, or was just like a...
Yeah. I had I did have another bike before that. It was because I was trying to be cool. It was a fixed gear bike.
But was it set to a fixie or single speed?
A fixie.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's now single speed. It's got one of those flip flop hubs on it because
Okay.
It's hard to ride a fixie all the time.
I imagine. Yeah.
It's nice to coast every once in a while.
So you had this fixie that you were riding around.
Yeah, I was riding it to like work and school and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay. So you had this fixie, and then you somehow, I can do bike MS. Both days.
Both days. Yeah.
So you decide, I'm going to get a road bike to do this. You didn't give any thought to doing it on the fixie?
No.
So you get a road bike, you do some training. The person who was doing it with you, like, had they had some like athletic experience before?
I don't remember if she did or not. She may have like played some high school sports, but I think maybe she did a little bit of running, but we both, like, on a whim, I was able to talk her into doing this thing, and she was like, all right, let's do it.
How far in advance from the event was this?
Oh, gosh.
From the acquisition of the bike, let's go with that. Roughly.
Say a good like 3 or 4 months. So we had like not a lot of time, but I feel like enough time to try and train for this.
I don't feel like it's enough time. Like,
others might agree with you, but I feel like we knocked it out pretty good. We were committed to it. Yeah.
Committed in it being a good idea, or different things. Okay, so 3 months you prepare. Was it just like you just went out and just rode? You just rode around wherever you could? Yeah,
we did a lot of riding like out east. That was my first experience, like in the battlefields and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and it's just you and your friend just doing all this cumulative riding.
Yeah.
Did you all do you recall how far? What was like the biggest ride you did before?
Oh, I think the biggest mile was on our biggest ride was only about like maybe 50 miles, maybe.
Yeah. I didn't seem like that'd be enough preparation to go from like either way. So you get to 50 at some point, and then you decide to do this ride. Are you in like cycling kit?
Yes.
Okay, so you went all in. You got a road bike and
sort of cycling kick. I didn't realize until after the fact that the shorts I had bought were actually like liner shorts.
Okay, like, no padded shorts.
They were padded, but they were made to wear like maybe under like looser like mountain bike shorts or something. They were a lot.
They weren't meant for the endurance road biking kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now you know.
I know now. Yeah.
So you. Wait, is that the same shorts you wore for your 75 and 75?
Yeah.
Okay. So how did the event go? Like you do the thing, and are you like, wow, this was still a great decision in the ride?
Yeah, we had a great time. I mean, we weren't trying to like, go out and keep up with the fastest group. We just wanted to have a good time, and we enjoyed the rest stops.
Okay, right. Rest stops are great.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't the first people there, but we definitely weren't the last. Mm-hmm. And we really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
So much so that we continued to do it. So we did it like 3 years in a row.
Really?
And we just kept like accumulating all these people to ride with us.
So once you finish the event, do you then keep riding for riding's sake, or is it like, I'm just going to do this event and like my riding is to prepare for this? Like,
it was more like riding for riding's sake.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it, and others had started noticing that I was enjoying it, and they were like, I think I want to get a bike too. So we managed to get like a group, a small group of people, mostly like coworkers that I had developed like personal friendship relationship with.
Okay.
Yeah, and we had our own little bike MS group, and we would we did other things too, like the Cap to Cap.
Okay.
And the tour of Richmond, which doesn't happen anymore.
Right. So you're then you've gotten to a point where you're riding for riding's sake, for enjoying it. You've got your group of friends you're riding with that you converted into cyclists apparently. Are you like riding the same roads? You like, hey, let's go to different places, let's ride different areas of town, or is it just like kind of the same rides kind of thing?
This was before the
before the trail.
Before the trail, but the section that's in Charles City, that starts at the courthouse, that's been there a really long time. Yeah. So we would ride out there, just like back and forth. I think it's like 14 miles round trip from where the trail started.
Oh, right. From that section to complete.
Yeah. Or we would go to West Creek.
Okay.
Or we would go to, I don't know if you know about New Kent Visitor Center, but they have a whole...
It's like bike lane or
bike
routes. Yeah.
Yeah, we would go out there and do some of those routes.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so not just the local streets anymore.
Yeah.
So in your meantime, you then do a Cap to Cap tour of Richmond, right?
Tour of Richmond, yeah.
The next Bike MS comes up, and it was still 75, right? The next year's? Okay. When does it... when did you join a club? Are you a member of RABA?
I'm a member of RABA.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you join RABA? Do you recall?
Recently. Yeah. Well.
Shame on you. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Let's see. That's not true because I was riding with them a little bit, probably around that same time.
Okay.
But I don't know why I stopped riding with them actually, but But I'm recently re-upped my membership. Yeah.
Okay. It's fine. Lots of people can ride with RABA without being members. I'd like to say that. So Bike MS, you're doing some of the local charity events. Do you recall the first time you went out of state? You left the area to do an event?
I never left the state to do like a charity event like that.
Okay.
I've just left for racing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a race. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to work my way to the racing at some point. So you're riding around. At some point, I'm guessing you're noticing like the riding is getting easier because you're doing so much of it. You're like, oh, I rode this road a little easier. Like,
yeah, definitely. But also, I noticed that mostly my male friends were getting a lot faster than I was. And I was like, man, I'm kind of struggling to keep up with these guys. But this was around the time that Carytown Bikes started doing classes, like trainer classes upstairs.
Okay.
They had enlisted Bob Flanagan. He used to run Central Virginia Endurance. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Not.
They're not around anymore, but they were a triathlon club.
Okay.
And he mostly focused on triathletes, but I think they were like doing a promotion or something like that. Like if you buy like 2 classes, you get 1 free or something like that.
Okay.
And I was like, that sounds like my cup of tea.
Deal. Yeah.
I'll do that. So I started doing classes in Carytown a few times a week.
What kind of trainers are these things? Because this is what, 2012, 2013?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, around that area. Yeah.
Were these like smart CompuTrainers?
No.
It's like classic trainers.
Just classic trainers. Yeah.
Okay. So you were noticing other riders with you were getting a bit faster. And you decide you're going to start doing these classes. Did you do just your 3? You did your 3, or did you get more like classes that you did there?
It was about like 2 or 3 a week.
Okay.
Like,
were you noticing anything from doing the trainer, riding on the trainer? Were you like noticing like, oh, there's some benefit here? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're riding on the trainer, and so you're getting faster. Did you just think, I just want to keep up with the people I'm riding with?
Yeah, that's basically, I just wanted to be fit, and I wanted to, keep up with my friends. And then Bob was like, you're not a bad cyclist. Like, you're doing pretty good. You should start doing races. Like,
okay.
I was like, I don't do triathlons. Like,
right. Yeah.
I am not a swimmer at all. Like, I can barely keep myself afloat. Like, there's no way you're getting me in like an open water swim. And he was like, well, there's other things. There's this other thing called a duathlon, and you just you run, bike, run instead of swim, bike, run. I was like, oh yeah, that's up my alley. Because I dabbled a little bit in running too, like nothing super serious, but I managed to like run the 10K every year.
That's awesome.
Like, I wasn't a bad runner. I wasn't terrible, but I was pretty average. So I was like, yeah, I think I can do that. So I did a few of those. Was
the running happening before the road bike? Were you doing that running to some degree?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you weren't a couch potato before the road bike happened. You were clearly with the riding, a little bit of running.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that makes your 75 at bike a little bit more believable in 3 months. So you decided to do a duathlon.
Yep.
Do you recall your distances roughly?
I think it was an Olympic distance. So I believe it's 3 miles.
Okay.
And then 21 miles.
21 okay.
On the bike.
Okay.
And then another 6 miles.
Okay. With 6 miles of
running.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that sounds terrible. How'd that go?
It was good.
Okay.
I placed in my age group, so
awesome.
I was pretty happy about that. Yeah.
Were you thinking about trying to place, or were you just like, I'm just going to do this and see how it goes?
I was definitely, I'm just going to do this and see how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you do another duathlon?
I ended up doing like 2 or 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Different ones or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's one. There was one I think in Richmond, right? Downtown somewhere.
Yeah, that was the last one I did. It started at like Shiplap or Rockets or something like that. Yeah.
And that's probably the only one I've seen. And I can't remember going through downtown and like people talking about we should do athlon or something. Okay. Yeah. What is that? So you do 2 or 3s. And again, each one's just like, I'm just going to participate, see how it goes.
Yeah.
Did your running increase post duathlons? Did you run a little bit more as leisurely after your duathlons?
Yeah, because you have to do brick workouts. You have to practice like going from running to biking and then from biking to running. Okay. So
again, seems terrible idea. So you do duathlons. Were these like back to back or like within like a couple years like of each other kind of thing?
They were all, I would say, in the same season.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you do your duathlons. Your speed's increasing because you're doing workouts. So you're still doing the Carrytown classes at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Bob was the one that had talked me into doing these duathlons. Okay. So I was getting. He wasn't exactly my coach, but he definitely...
He was giving you instructions.
Yeah, he helped guide me through some stuff.
Okay. I'm under the impression you've done one by now. When was your first century ride? When did you start thinking about, like, I want to do long distance things?
My first century ride was a cap to cap.
You did? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-duathlons?
That might have been the same year.
The same year, okay.
Yeah, it all kind of came together within like 2 or 3 years. So,
okay.
Yeah.
It's like at what? I'm not really asked this. Like, at what point did cycling become a priority? But then it went from like a leisurely thing to like, I love this. This is awesome. I want to do this often.
Yeah. Well. It just, I had really good company, I had a lot of fun riding with my friends, and I really enjoyed the fitness that I was gaining.
Okay.
I don't think I'd ever been that fit in my life.
Okay.
And this was in my late 20s, and I was like, yeah, this is kind of where I want my life to go.
Okay. So you've done your duathlons, you've got a century under your belt. Have you gotten a nicer kit at this point? Like, you're still not in this one. Do you recall, like, what was that process of? Did you try out a bunch of different kits, or did you find one and were like, oh, this one works, and I don't need to try others?
Yeah, well, I was, I was spending a lot of time at Carrytown, doing the classes and talking to Tim Mullins and some of the other guys that worked there, and they were like, yeah, you should upgrade your stuff. So started, buying nicer, like, Castelli stuff.
Okay.
And, better shoes and learning how to, clip in and stuff like that. So.
When did clipping in happen?
Clipping in happened the second time I did the MS.
Okay.
150, so it's probably like 2011. Yeah.
But not like you didn't clip in for the event. You clipped in like sometime
to get ready for it.
Okay.
Yeah. It was my goal to not crash my bike while clipping in for that event.
Did you tip over?
It happens. Yeah, but it happened early, and I learned from it, and.
Right. You increase your balance. Yeah. You move on. Your ego's a little bruised. You keep going.
You figure out like which foot is your dominant foot, and you just practice and get comfortable with it.
Okay. Yeah. I've met one person, David Randolph, last guy I interviewed, who has not fallen with his getting clipped in.
Wow.
It's the only person. Yeah.
Man, it still happens to me like every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you're just like off guard and you can't get out fast enough, and you just like tip right on over.
Yeah. It's you learn to catch yourself.
Yeah.
What kind of pedals you use? Did you start with the SPD, the 2-bolt, or did you go with the SLs?
No, I went with the 3-bolt. I think I was running time pedals.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't even know if they make those anymore, but
yeah, I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Are you still in time?
No,
Okay.
I'm doing Shimano.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So you've clipped in Bike MS, the duathlons. You're getting faster. You're doing structured workouts at this point in time. At what point did you decide, like, when does it go to road racing? Like, how does that?
So once again, Bob was like, well, I think I had mentioned a few times to him that I just really liked biking. Like, you can keep the running. Like, not that I didn't enjoy it, but it's just that,
Less enjoyable? Just.
Yeah, I mean, biking is just, you can do a lot more exploration when you're on your bike. And I feel like it's easier to bike with a group than it is to run with a group. So it was kind of like a social thing too. But I did mention that to him, a few times, and he's like, well, there's this thing Tuesday nights at Bryant Park, and it's a crit race, and I had no idea what that was. And he was like, but I think you should go try it out, like, just see how it goes. And I was like, all right, sure, I'll try this.
Okay.
Having no idea what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
But I showed up and I started the B race and probably almost immediately got dropped.
Did you watch the race? You just showed up. Did you even watch it anytime?
I had never watched it. I do believe I went out there a few weeks ahead of time just to ride the course to see what it was like, just to get comfortable with the course. But God, I had no idea what I was getting into.
Was that the first race of the season? That wasn't the first race of the season.
No. They had been... I was working a weird schedule then. I think I was doing like evening shifts, so I couldn't do all of them, but I could get like 1 or 2 Tuesdays off every few weeks to go out and do it. So
for listeners, which I assume everyone here is a cyclist who's listening, please go watch the Bryant Park race before you try to do one if you have the time. It's fun, it's exciting, it's fast, but please go watch the race first. So you just went out, you did the race, you got dropped.
I got dropped. Yeah, hard.
Were there do you recall if there were other women? Did you see any other ladies?
Yeah, Elena, my old teammate, was out there.
Okay.
I believe Beth Walsh was out there.
I've seen that name before.
Mallory, she was a junior racer. She was out. There were some women out there. Yeah.
About what time is like year? 2014, 2015?
I think it's 2013.
2013. Okay.
Yeah.
So still, I'll say. Okay.
Yeah.
So you do your first race, you get dropped, and do you keep racing, or do you take do you drop out at like when it's
No, I kept racing.
You kept going.
So this was back when John Messersmith was still racing the race.
Okay.
He would do the A race, but for the B race, if you fell off the back, he would actually jump on the course with you.
Oh, okay.
And he would ride with you. So he basically like taught me how to ride the course and how to take corners and where to put some increased power out and where to try and recover and positioning and all that. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
And that was, if it wasn't for that, I probably would have never gone back.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So you finish. Do you decide to go back the very next week, like the very next time you can go back, kind of thing?
I don't remember. Excuse me. I don't really recall what my feelings about it were. I remember just kind of enjoying it, and like I think I would like to try that again.
Okay.
And I went back maybe one more time, and then One day I was standing outside my house when I was living in Churchill, and a guy walks by. It was Cam Denunzio.
Yeah, I know Cam.
And I was outside with my bike. I think I just finished a ride or something like that. And he was like, I know you, and I know that bike. He's like, I've seen you at Bryant Park. And I was like, yeah, I've been out there a couple times. And I was like, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. Like, it's pretty hard. And he's like, yeah, it can get hard. And he's like, well, you should ride up there with me one time. You know, we could ride up and warm up together. And at this point, I was like getting in my car and driving to Bryant Park and racing and driving home. And the thought of like riding up there, I don't know why, but it just kind of blew my mind. I was like, wow, you ride up there and then you race and you ride back? And he was like, yeah. So we exchanged numbers and we started riding up there when I could do the race.
Was that your first time thinking about commuting to the start of a ride?
Yeah.
It's like, wait, I can ride to the start?
Yeah.
Okay, so you then start doing going back to do the Bryant Park races. At any point do you start watching? Just like, I'm just gonna see how this stay and watch. Like I'm not gonna race it this evening. Just I'm gonna watch.
Well, I would stay for the A race and watch the A race. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is a slightly different animal.
Yeah.
So you're doing the B race, to some regularity or when you have time. And you're still doing the training at the Carytown?
Yep.
Still doing the classes?
Yeah.
This is like 2013-ish.
Yeah.
For these times. Okay. Season ends at some point. You keep riding. Are you feeling like, I definitely want to race more? Or is it just like, it's just another thing to do?
Yeah, well, Cam and I had become like pretty good friends after that. And I started hanging out with the RBS crew, Richmond Bicycle Studio.
Yep.
And the VCU crowd as well, the cycling club there. And it was like the last Bryant Park. We had finished the race and we were just riding around cooling off. And I think it was Beth Walsh who mentioned it. She was like, we're looking for more women to join our team. This was Richmond Velo Sport that she was on. And I was like, oh, okay. And she was like telling me some of the benefits of being on the team. And I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. I'll definitely think about that. And I was like super stoked. And then I was telling Cam about it, I think later in the evening. He was like, oh, cool. But, you should join our team instead. You should join RBS. And I was like, all right, sold. Like, I think, in my heart, I was kind of hoping for that anyway, just because I had been hanging out with them for, the summer and riding with them. And that's how I was invited to my first team. Okay,
nice. So you joined the team. And I guess you all start training together? How's it go with the riding with the team? Being with the team?
Yeah, we had, I think it was weekly training rides. Every Sunday every Sunday we would ride together. A lot of them were starting to get into cyclocross. Okay. And I would go out. I didn't have a cyclocross bike. I desperately wanted one just so I could keep,
do what they were doing.
Doing what they were doing. But I think I had a hard time finding something in my size in that short amount of time. But definitely, like, throughout the fall, winter, I was riding with them and going to some of the cyclocross races just to watch them. Okay. Yeah.
So cyclocross seemed interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're into 2014. You finish your first Bryant Park season. You joined the RBS.
RBS. Yep.
And you're seeing some of them do cyclocross racing. How does your 2014 go? Do you eventually get a cyclocross bike that year, or you just kind of?
I did get one that year.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
That was interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. My first cyclocross race was the Sorry Honey, I
Okay.
Have to Work Late race. It's a training race put on by Mark Junkerman at Forest Hill Park. And it was miserable.
Okay.
I had maybe ridden my cross bike like 3 or 4 times before that.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't know why people like this. This is insane. I'm like on the rivet the whole time. Like my heart rate is like through the roof.
Yeah.
And it's a different animal than road. There's not a whole lot of recovery in it. And his races, I would argue, are tough.
Yeah.
Especially when you're riding in just a big mass of people and you don't really know what your like fitness is for a race like that, and you're trying to keep up with people that maybe you shouldn't be trying to keep up with because they're much faster than you and more experienced than you. So my first race, I hated it. I was like, this is stupid. I don't think I'm gonna like this.
Did you? I've not done cyclocross racing, but I think of lots of dismounting, running with the bike, going upstairs, that kind of thing. Did you practice that kind of stuff beforehand, or were you just like ridden the bike, kind of thing?
I might have practiced like once, like trying to run over a barrier.
Okay. I recommend practicing, folks.
Yeah. Well, my whole like beginning of on a bike was just winging it. So I was like, yeah, it's worked for me in the past. I'm just gonna keep up.
And it does work for some.
Yeah.
So you do this first race. You don't feel great about it, or it sucks a little bit. Do you like at the end of the race? You're just like, I'm done. I don't want to do this again.
No.
Okay.
At this point, I was working with a coach. I had started working with Mike Stoop at this point. And he was like, no, you need to do like a race where you're racing against, people of your own skill level.
Okay.
It's like, okay, I'm going to give it another shot. So I did Jamestown cyclocross.
Okay.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
I won my race.
Okay.
Which
nice.
Helps with the morale
the motivation,
and everything. Yeah. And I just fell in love with cyclocross that day. I think it was so fun. I thought it was amazing.
So what was this more like a training kind of cyclocross? Like, what was the big difference between the Jamestown one than the one that, like, the Mark Junker one just was that much more challenging? It was the first?
Yeah, it's more challenging, and I really didn't know, first of all, what I was getting myself into, and just, it's just different when you have, when you're racing against a group of people that are on the same skill level as you. You don't feel as defeated.
That makes sense.
As opposed to going out and trying to race with Aaron and Greg and all that who've been
riding for like a decade. Yeah, that could be hard to go against. So you win. Is this your first? You in the duathlon you placed in your age, right?
Right. Yeah.
But this was a win. This was like a first place win here.
Yeah, it's my first win on a bike.
How was that? Was that like awesome?
It was
like,
awesome. I
okay.
loved it. Yeah. I didn't know that I won either, because we had our own category, but we also started with
it was a mass start kind of thing.
Maybe with 1 or 2 other categories, like juniors and masters, I want to say too. So I wasn't 100% sure I had won until after the race was over.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome. So that's the cyclocross is kind of like the winter fall-ish kind of season.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you do more? Do you do more cyclocross races in that season?
I did. I raced the whole season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did it just like repeated races there at the Jamestown cyclocross?
It was all over like this, like southeast Virginia section. So there was Jamestown, and there's a couple in Richmond, and let's see where else. Williamsburg. No, Charlottesville, Harrisonburg, Roanoke.
Okay.
Um,
So, as a lady, how many like women would you find? Like, did you find any particular area seem to have more lady cyclists showing up at the events than others?
I wouldn't say it was specific to the area. It was
Okay.
part of a series. It
Okay.
was part of the Virginia cyclocross series.
Okay.
So you're racing for bar points for
Okay.
that series. So everyone's pretty much showing up to every race.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So you're racing against familiar faces each time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and made some new friends. You know,
Awesome.
cyclocross. Yeah.
So it's better than like new enemies.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So you do the whole series?
Yep.
Okay. How'd you fare across the whole series?
I won the series.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So yeah, how do you go back and beat that? Is just like defend your title the next year?
Yeah.
Okay. So you you win the series.
Mm-hmm.
And then when does that end? When is that over? Roughly like in year, like at the time of the year. December. Okay.
Yeah.
So only
Early
a few
December.
months in.
Yeah. It's usually from like September to December.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then do you move to like competing in some other fashion to like fill that time until Bryant Park opens back up? Like what happened next then?
Let's
If
see.
you recall.
After that,
Or you just like go back to just doing your regular.
I think
fast
I was
rides?
still doing some running, and I was,
Okay.
still doing the 10K in March.
Okay.
I think I did Monster Cross that next year too.
Okay.
Maybe. Trying to remember.
On the cyclocross bike?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
How wide are the tires on that thing?
They're like 33s. I always do Monster Cross on my cyclocross bike.
Really?
Yeah.
I did on like 45s and it was it's difficult. The first time. Okay. To do Monster Cross. So it sounds like you're riding all year round. Like you're riding through the winter.
Yeah, pretty
well.
much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next Monster Cross. Next season of Bryant Park comes up May, June. Do you decide to do that again?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd it go this next time the next year Bryant Park race season?
It was a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was still maybe having some trouble keeping up, but every week it was just all right, just one more lap. I'll hang on for one more lap,
Okay.
And eventually I got to the point where I was, finishing the whole race.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Podiums? No?
I did. I think I won a few races.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Was this 2014? I'm trying to remember. I switched teams. I went from RBS to Carytown.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to remember when that was.
Okay.
I think that was 2015 that I did that. Went from RBS. So.
And RBS doesn't exist. The team doesn't exist anymore, right?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
No,
Okay.
the shop closed down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were with the Carytown team for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess racing under Carytown.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still doing the workouts there at Carytown? Are you?
Yeah. I think they had stopped doing them.
Okay.
There at that point, they were no longer offering them.
Okay.
But I definitely did, take the classes for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was working with Mike Stoop, as I had mentioned. He was actually one of the coaches for CVE, and that's how I hooked up with him.
Okay.
But then I just went from, classes there to do my own workouts, like either on the trainer
Mm-hmm.
or, on the road under Mike Stoop.
Okay. Did you find workouts easier to do indoors or outside? or does it just depend?
It just depends.
Okay.
Like, if I'm doing like sprint intervals, I don't want to do that on a trainer. It's uncomfortable and hard. I'd rather do that on open road.
Okay. Okay.
But if I'm doing like a really super easy workout, I might just opt to do that inside.
Okay.
Just throw on the TV and spin the wheels for an hour.
Okay. All right. So you joined Carytown. You again do the Bryant Park races. Do you travel for any road races yet? Or are you still just doing our local races?
Yeah, we had started doing a little bit of traveling. Our Carytown team was pretty big. So, and Sharon had an RV that she liked to tote us around in. She still does. So I think we did some races in like North Carolina and Maryland and just some of the neighboring states. Nothing too far.
Okay. So you're doing these other races. Do you find the competition still pretty stiff in these other areas as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably more stiff than Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing races, Carytown, a couple out of town, some out of town races. How long were you with the Carytown team?
I was with them for 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 2015 and 2016, I raced for them.
And when did you join Sweet Spot?
I joined Sweet Spot in 2017. Well, into 2016.
Okay.
Into 2017.
So that was after Carytown, roughly.
Well, I mean, I left Carytown for Sweet Spot.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was Aaron and the original members of Sweet Spot invited me and a few of my Carytown teammates to join their team.
Okay. Yeah. There are a lot of ladies. It seems like there's a lot of ladies on the team.
On Sweet Spot?
Yeah.
We've definitely grown.
Which is great. It's
amazing. Yeah.
Love seeing the women on the team. It's great. So where are you? Is Aaron your coach as well? Or are you getting coaching elsewhere?
At the moment or at that time?
Let's go with at that time then. Let's go with that.
Yeah. There was like a year gap.
Okay.
That I had no coaching at all. I was trying to do it myself.
Okay.
I guess that was 2016.
Okay.
So I wasn't with anyone that year, but then when I made the switch to Sweet Spot, I did take Aaron on as a coach.
Okay. So you're now riding the Sweet Spot. Do you start doing any different races or anything like that, or how do things kind of change being under with Sweet Spot?
Yeah, so Erin is just so knowledgeable, and she knows pretty much everything about every rider, like on the East Coast. I feel like so having her knowledge definitely like helped us branch out and like, do a whole lot of other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are you still doing the B race at Bryant Park at this time?
I had moved on from the A race from the B race to the A race in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you feel prepared? Because like.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It was another one of those instances where I was getting dropped.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like every week I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and hold on for one more week.
Okay.
And then, I guess it was June 2017. I was having like a really good race. And then, I broke my wrist in the race, let's say. And that kind of just ended things for pretty much the rest of the year.
Wait, when was this?
2017.
trying to think if I remember you in a cast or not.
Didn't really have a cast.
Okay.
Because I had to have surgery. So it went from surgery to had a splint.
Okay.
Because I started physical therapy almost right away after my surgery.
Wow. How long was your recovery?
I was back riding my bike again. I guess 10 weeks.
10 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wrist is completely fine, healed, and everything all now.
Yeah, I mean, it gives me. I still feel some aches and pains every once in a while, but.
Okay. Changing direction here. What do you take with you on your rides? Like if you're doing not a race, you're doing a ride, and we'll say it's going to be 50 miles.
50 miles.
Yeah. What are you taking with you on your ride?
Definitely 2 bottles.
Okay.
One with just water and one with Gatorade.
Okay.
Probably a banana. That's my favorite ride on a snack.
Okay.
And then some sort of like easy to digest and eat carbs. So I like to make like homemade mini waffles or fig bars, or if I feel like I want to splurge, I'll buy some like stroop waffles or chews or something like that. But it's mostly like something that I could like throw together in a snack bag and eat easy on a bike.
You just take the whole banana, or do you cut it in half or something?
No, the whole banana.
I'm surprised by everyone who has a banana survive in a ride and it doesn't end up like squished by some means. In the back pocket, but yeah, sure. Okay. So that's stuff you take with you on a ride. Do you take Gatorade like on a short ride?
A short ride? If it's like under like 2 hours, it's just water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now what if you're doing a race, do you even take bottles with you? A bottle and all?
Yeah.
Okay. Snacks still?
It depends on the race. Like for a crit, no snacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you recall your longest race?
My longest race.
Like, are they all like under like 15 miles kind of thing?
Oh no, some of the road races pretty long.
Yeah.
I think my longest road race was 64, 65 miles. Yeah.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
What was this race that you recall?
It was up in Vermont as part of the Green Mountain stage race.
Okay.
So it was the road race portion of that stage race. And I think it was 64 miles.
And that's Vermont.
Yeah.
Were there mountains?
Oh yeah.
How'd that go?
Oh, it was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. That particular road race, I got a flat at mile like 50, I think.
Oh,
and
okay.
I was riding pretty strong with a group,
yeah.
And you get a flat, and you have to try and chase back on, and it just didn't happen.
Was there like race support to come up and help
you
with it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Luckily, they were not that far behind me.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And I think I had my bike's an 11 speed. I'm pretty sure they gave me a 10 speed wheel.
Really?
Because it was a bit loud and crunchy those last 15 miles.
How do you feel about mountains? Are you just fine with like doing the climbing?
I love it. I love the climbing.
Lightweight people.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite climbing that you've done? Do you have any climbing that you've done that was just like exceptionally memorable?
Well, I would say the first time I did the Wintergreen Hill Ascent. Okay. Which is the hill climb TT for Virginia.
Okay, so this is an event.
Yeah, it's a race.
Okay.
Yeah.
What makes that stand out? Is it just scenic or brutal or?
Well, It's very scenic.
Okay.
The first time I did it, my teammate Elena said, make sure you look at the views on your way up, which I did not because I was suffering so bad. But
Okay.
yeah, I found out when I did that race that I'm a really good climber and that I love it. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Do you recall your biggest climb? Was it also that?
It's all, yeah.
Okay.
In terms of like elevation gained, that's the most elevation I've done.
Okay.
In one segment.
Okay.
When I was in Costa Rica last month, we did a lot of climbing.
Okay.
So I think like the most significant in terms of like elevation per mile was I think like 5,000 feet of climbing in like 35 miles.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot. We're skipping ahead here, but you mentioned Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And you recently went to this trip to Costa Rica. That was your first time out of the country riding?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about this. Tell me about this trip to Costa Rica, if you don't mind.
So my teammate Christy organized this.
Mm-hmm.
She had been in Costa Rica in high school and had a friend down there that has like an outdoor adventure tour group company.
Okay.
And he had reached out to her and noticed that like she had started riding bikes and wanted to know if she and some of her friends wanted to come down to Costa Rica and do this bike tour.
Okay.
That he would support us on.
Awesome. Okay.
So she, Christy, and Jess, and our friend Allie from Tidewater area, the four of us went out there and spent a week riding our bikes.
Now, you took your bike?
I took my bike. Yeah, we took gravel / cyclocross bikes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So how was the terrain? Like, how was the riding that was there? Like, what was your first day of riding? Let's go with that.
Oh, well, the very first day we had to cut very short because it started raining.
Okay.
And it got really, really foggy.
Okay.
And in Costa Rica, you're either like going up or you're going down. There's no like riding straight. So that made some of the descents on wet roads like pretty dangerous. So given that, we cut it short.
Okay.
And it was still fun. We still had a great time. Like as soon as we started riding and started hitting these like punchy little climbs, I'm like, oh man, I'm in heaven. Like I was born to be here right now.
I did some climbing in Frederick, and I was on the other end. I was like, why am I doing this? I should go back to flat Richmond. So first day you cut short, weather. Second, did you all know like the routes that you were all going to do? Not that you knew the roads, but
yeah, they gave us all of our routes ahead of time.
Okay.
So we had them all downloaded to our Garmin's.
Okay. Was there any day that seemed more epic than the others? I mean, I know the whole thing was great, but
yeah. Gosh, it's just, I guess it kind of depends on like your idea of epic. So like one day was 75 miles around a lake. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's like over 5 hours on the bike. And we stopped for lunch halfway through. So it ended up being like an 8-hour day.
That sounds awesome.
And we had to stop, you know, to refill our water and stuff like that. So that's pretty epic. But then there was a shorter ride that we did, but the climbing was just, I've never like struggled so much on a climb like this. It's like a pretty popular segment. And
was it a combination of, was it steep or just long or just a combination
steep?
Of?
It was not, it's not very long, but it was steep. It got to the point where I was like zigzagging across the road, and I had never done that on a bike ever. It was so hard. Yeah? Yeah.
I did some climbing this past weekend, and I went to Frederick, Maryland, and somebody took me up. A friend took me up Hamburg Road. Not that you need to know this. Either way, the climb was not that long, but there was a steep section where I got to like. I looked down. It's like I'm at 2.5 miles an hour. I think I should just stop.
Yeah.
So either way, so yeah, more power to you for enjoying climbing.
Yeah,
I'm just aware it's a thing.
Yeah, that segment probably would have been better if I was on my road bike where I had more gears. But
okay, yeah.
I was on my cross bike, and it's a 1x, so I only had 11 gears and ran out of them very quickly.
How big is the front chainring? Do you recall? Do you know?
Oh,
it's smaller than your road bike.
It's
big
smaller
ring, right?
than my road bike. I can't recall. Yeah, but
yeah, because I know the ratios are different if it's just
Yeah.
a 1x kind of thing.
I think it's bigger than the little ring on my road bike.
So like a 40 something or something
Yeah.
like that. Okay. Okay. All right. Thought I'd ask. And I guess you had, so you took so you had like tread on those tires.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's a mixture. We did road and like dirt road, gravel road, creek crossings, river crossings.
What were the conditions of the roads?
Some of the roads were a lot better than they are here.
Yeah.
And then some of them, like,
It was really bad.
better not try and drive a little car down that
Yeah.
road.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did the trip. How'd you get your bike there? Like, did you put a bike case, bike bag?
Yeah, I borrowed a bike bag from one of my teammates
Okay.
and
All right.
flew him out there.
Okay. Awesome. No worries. No. Were you like?
You always worry. This is the second time I have flown with a bike.
Okay.
And you just worry. Like,
Okay.
hopefully they're not like
Manhandling
manhandling everything. Yeah.
Okay. But it made it fine. No scratches,
Yeah.
no dents.
Yeah.
Everything.
There's a little couple scratches, but nothing to really complain about.
Okay. All right. I'm glad that your bike traveled well then.
Yeah.
Where would you like to go next?
Oh gosh, I've been thinking about that.
And it doesn't have to be like this is the best place you'd ever want to go, but like any place you might want to go next. Let's go with out of the country to ride.
Out of the country to ride.
Yeah.
I would say maybe Croatia.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They've got, some great roads that run right along the water that just seem magical.
Okay. Not have thought of Croatia. Okay. Nice. And there's still time. There's still plenty of time to go to Croatia. Ask you about your first cycling shorts were like not great cycling shorts.
Yeah.
Eventually you do get some nicer ones. Castelli, is it still the brand you kind of go with? Is it still working for you?
I mostly ride in Vi 13.
Okay. So those
they make our Sweet Spot kit.
Okay.
And I have a lot of Sweet Spot kit now, so I'm like 80% of the time that's what I'm wearing.
Yep.
Unless it's like laundry day and I absolutely have nothing else to wear.
It's gotta be a lot of laundry. Do you have a bike computer? I assume you have a bike computer. Okay.
Yeah, I have a Garmin.
When did that happen? When did you get a bike computer?
Oh, so way back when I was still kind of doing like duathlons. I found this deal on a refurbished Garmin triathlon watch.
Okay.
And I was using that, except I wasn't wearing it on my wrist. I had it like
on the handlebars.
On the handlebars.
Yeah. Which I've only seen in practice. I think I've only seen once where someone actually had that on there, and I know that's a feature that some of them you can put on the handlebars. Even take the wrist straps off and mount it on there. But I've only
there was no mounting. It was just wrist straps and all. Yeah.
I mean, that works apparently.
Yeah.
How long did you go with it? How long did you stay
A
with
while. Yeah. I didn't get like my first like grown up Garmin until like 2018, I want to say.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What did you get? You mind me asking?
I have a Garmin 520.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Did you get that new, or did you get that from someone? That's 2018. 520 been out for a little bit.
Yeah, I got it as a birthday present, actually,
really?
from my teammate Sharon.
Aw.
She's like my big sister.
That's a fantastic gift, by the way.
Yeah.
Good job, Sharon. That's a fantastic gift,
Yeah.
right? So okay, so you have a bike computer. Are you using Strava? Like, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a big fan of Strava, like even before I had a computer. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just using my phone to
record your rides.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if I find someone was using Strava, is there any segments that you found yourself chasing? Do you find, are there any segments particular that you found yourself like, I'm going to do better on this one than my last time, or I'm going to beat so and so?
I don't. I'm not one to go out and like segment hunt.
Okay.
Mostly because, when I'm out riding, I'm doing like a workout, or I'm riding with teammates, or, I just don't go out and be like, today I'm going to try and get as many QOMs as I can, like it's nice to get them. Absolutely. And I definitely will help a teammate get one, but
it's not, you're not out chasing them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's fine. Have you taken your bike with you on your non-cycling vacations? So if you go see family out of town for Thanksgiving or 4th of July, do you take your bike? Have you taken your bike with you, or just or vacation, you don't take it with you?
Yeah, sometimes if I go like to the beach, I'll take my bike with me.
Okay.
But usually if I'm going like on a vacation, I'm doing other things. So for example, went to Maine with a friend of mine last year, and we did like a lot of hiking.
Okay.
So
hiking can be fun.
Yeah, that's usually like my default if I'm on vacation without a bike, is to do lots of long walks or hikes, or sometimes even run still a little bit.
Okay. How do you feel when you see other cyclists? I thought about this when you're on vacation. You don't have the bike. How do you feel if you're out somewhere and you see a group roll past?
Oh.
Yeah.
If I'm on vacation, I don't have my bike. Probably some nostalgia. Like, oh, yeah, that could be me right now. But, vacation is vacation. You get to do whatever you want, right?
It should be that way.
Yeah.
It should not be work away from home. So we've kind of worked our way up. Eventually, 2020 happens. And the pandemic occurs.
Yeah.
Right. Still is happening in a degree. How, if any, did your cycling, your riding change at all as a result of the pandemic?
Yeah, 2020 was a hard year for me.
Yeah.
Honestly. Not only like did the pandemic hit, but at the end of 2019, a company I was working for went out of business, and I lost my work family, which, some of my greatest friends, like my friend that I went with to Maine, she was my coworker. And that hit me like pretty hard. Yeah. And ended up working at another job that I absolutely hated and dreaded going to work every day. And this was like 2020. And so I started the year off with a job that I hated, and then ended up getting laid off from that job because they were going out of business.
Wow, okay.
And then the pandemic hit, and just my mind space was like different.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was hard to find motivation.
Okay.
To get on the bike. I know a lot of people will take that as an opportunity to like unemployment to ride more and to, let things go, or they use it as a, an escape, but
yeah,
not me. It was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I've been unemployed before. It is a little harder to do all the things you want to enjoy while not working.
Yeah.
You gotta pay bills. You gotta do, so you gotta do all this stuff. It's like a little harder. Just like, I'm just gonna be free will, just do all this stuff.
Yeah.
But eventually you found a job, some kind.
I did find a job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations. So you weren't riding as much. You found yourself. Okay.
No, and then the pandemic hit, and I honestly want to say I was a little bit relieved because I hadn't been riding in the winter and I wasn't getting the base miles, and the season kind of got canceled, and I was like, well, I wasn't ready for it anyway, so.
Okay. But you made it through. You find yourself enjoying your rides again.
Yeah.
It's the pandemic. What's your earliest memory of riding a bike?
My earliest memory. Let's see. I have to say it was when I learned how to ride without training wheels.
Okay.
How was I? I was like maybe 5 or 6.
Okay.
It's during the summer. My dad was on his way to work, and I asked him, I was like, can you take the training wheels off my bike? And he's like, well, I'm going to work. We can't work on that today.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, why don't you wait until I get home? I was like, I don't think I can wait that long. He's like, you're going to hurt yourself if I do this now.
Mm-hmm.
And you try and do it on your own. I'm like, no, I'll be okay. And he's like, don't be mad at me when I come home if you haven't been able to ride your bike today because the training wheels are off. But I'll take them off for you. And I was like, oh, yeah, thanks, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, I must have scuffed my knees like 1,000 times that day.
Yeah.
But I was riding that bike by the time he got home. I don't need you, Dad. I got it.
Aw. Were you wearing a helmet?
Probably not.
Different time then.
Yeah.
Different time. Were you wearing a helmet when you were riding the fixie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Was that your decision?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Were you riding with others when you had that fixie? Did you have other people you were riding with, or was it just a thing you did solo?
It was pretty much a solo thing.
Okay.
There's a point where I didn't have a car.
Mm-hmm.
So it was either walk or ride or take the bus. So it was my commuter for a while.
Okay. All right. Is there something you'd want to share about your cycling experience that you've been out riding? Is there something like you'd like to let everyone know? A moment for you to toot your own horn.
Oh, like something about me or just in general?
Either. Whatever you like to share.
Oh my gosh.
I know, right? Even if it's like you did these 4 events and like you were awesome the whole time.
Well, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to say, please wear a helmet. It hits close to home to me with my job, and hitting your head is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And people, I don't think, realize how big of a deal it is, especially if it happens over and over and over again. So
yeah,
please wear a helmet.
Okay, everybody hears that. Please wear your helmet.
Even if you're just riding up to the grocery store, please wear a helmet.
Wear your helmet. Be safe.
Yeah.
Now, thank you for sharing it. What's something you would have wanted to tell yourself when you were getting that road bike preparing for Bike and Mass? Like, what's something you would have liked? You could go back in time. Maggie, hey, blah 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 blah.
I would say, reach out, like talk to your local bike shop. I did a lot of things on a whim, and if I had maybe did a little bit more research and talked to some people, then my first road bike was too big for me, and I was wearing liner shorts on a 75-mile ride. It doesn't hurt to talk to people when you're first starting and ask for advice and get the lay of the land.
And it's solid advice to reach out and talk to your local bike shop, particularly if someone has no experience, riding or seeing other people that ride. Speaking of that, if you having limited knowledge of things, was there anything that you recall that was like an aha moment when someone showed it to you or mentioned it or something like that? Was there ever a thing like, oh shit, I've been doing this the wrong way the whole time, and all I had to do was this one,
probably tire pressure. I'm not a big person, and I don't need to try and pump my tires up to like 120 every time, which I probably was doing when I first got started. That was like a big, probably like duh moment for me. Something I never thought of until it was mentioned. Like, oh,
I don't need it. But you wouldn't. All other information would point to like I should fully inflate my tires, right?
Yeah.
Without knowing like there's greater comfort if you run with lower PSI kind of thing.
Yeah.
Until someone mentioned that to you, or you do that a couple times, or your tire burst because you fully inflated, which is what happened to me. I was also putting up to like 115 PSI. Hey, I want to have least rolling resistance ever, and my tire blew up one day. So anyway, thought I'd ask about, if there's some aha moment in there somewhere, and tire pressure is a good example. Do you try to do your own bike maintenance?
Ooh, I do, and I usually end up in trouble.
What's gone wrong?
I think.
Let's be honest.
I think the last thing was I tried to replace my chain, and I just could not get it back. Okay. I couldn't get the new one on.
Okay.
I don't know. I bought I think it was the tool that I had bought to get it back on. I think it was just.
It wasn't good.
Cheap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of that tool, a couple years ago, I was at a party that a friend had brought me to, and someone it was a Chinese gift exchange, and I didn't know this other person was an avid cyclist, and as one of the gifts, and I don't think they knew I was going to be, one of the gifts they brought was that chain pliers thing.
Oh, nice.
And that's what I won, and I still use it today.
Nice.
And I was like, that's a great gift. Like, who else was going to want that? Because nobody else was a rider. It's like, yeah, I'll take that. So I was like, I thought about that. I was like, yes. And it's like not even an expensive tool.
Yeah.
But it's great when it works. And it was a park tool. So it was actually a quality. Yeah, it was a quality version of that. Yeah. Wait, let me make sure I got all this stuff. Are your friends that you convinced to ride, are they still riding?
Some of them are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you converted more people? Or are you out like the Church of Maggie? As people are just like, all right.
Well, I talked my boyfriend into getting a mountain bike for COVID.
Okay.
So that was our big COVID thing, was mountain biking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a mountain bike as well?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about the mountain biking? Was that just like a compromise, kind of like let's do this together, or was it like I like mountain biking on its own?
Yeah. I would not say I enjoyed mountain biking before that. Okay. I'd done it a few times, but I didn't really like appreciate it, I guess, until I had my own bike and was able to kind of do the trails that I wanted to do and felt comfortable with, as opposed to going out on a demo ride and, you know, doing trails that everyone else is doing. I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah. Right. You got to do it at your own pace. Yeah. Okay. It's awesome. Mountain biking still seems like I'm not right there yet. Are you still doing cyclocross?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Most memorable cycling event that you've been to?
It's got to be like Richmond 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Right. UCI.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, I like to tell people that was like one of the best weeks of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I took the whole week off of work.
Yeah.
And some stuff was going down at work that week, and I was getting these emails. I'm like, I don't care. Like, the pros are in town. I'll handle it when I get back. But yeah, God, that was great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
And I missed all of that. Well, I was downtown. I worked downtown. So I had like I actually had a parking deck that I could have had a great view, but I wasn't into cycling. And I was just like, let me get out of downtown so I can get away from these crazy bikers.
Yeah. Yeah, I work downtown in the biotech park now.
Okay.
And, you know, sometimes my day gets like a little hectic and I need to step out for a minute. So I'll walk up to Broad Street and the finish line, you know, is still there. Yeah. You can see it.
Either way, I did ask about that event, and that's a fantastic thing to stand out with all the pros here who apparently still have KOMs in the Richmond area.
Yeah.
Anyway, Maggie, I would like to thank you for sharing your story and your riding, and all the stuff, and that you like climbing, and everything. So I appreciate you sharing your story. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Thank you.